Good morning. It is a beautiful August morning here in Leander, Central Texas, Zone 8B. And I just thought it was time for an August tour. Let's take a look around my yard to see what is thriving in this intense heat. So we have been in the high 90s. Every once in a while we get into the hundreds. So we are having a little bit milder summer than we have the last two summers. The last two summers, we saw so many more days in the hundreds. So we're all just thrilled to say, oh, it only got 98 today or 99 today. Okay, so let's take a look and see what is thriving here in this incredible heat. So if I just pan across the front porch area, I have a garden on the left and the right of the front porch, and mainly the evergreen is Abelia. And this Abelia needs a trim really badly. And I will get out here with my hedge trimmers and do that. It's just so dang hot, though I am going to wait till it gets just a little cooler. And so I have a yellow variegated variety, and I have the Rose Creek variety of the Abelia. And I keep my water bird baths filled for the birds all the time. I just really want to make sure that the birds have plenty of water during these very hot days. And I wanted to point out my Supertunia. This is the bubblegum variety, and they are still putting out some great looking flowers. But one thing that would be helpful for this Supertunia is if I gave it a little bit of a trim. As I get a little closer, you can see that it's really got some long trailing limbs, and up here at the top it's still looking good. I am going to give it a nice fertilizing feed, and I'm going to just trim all of these longer limbs, and that will send a message to the plant that it's time to give some more bushiness to the top. So that's kind of what I'm after. And then it'll reflush out with more blooms, and it will just be a lot happier. Right now it's having to do so much work in this intense heat to keep all of these limbs in flower, and I want to just make it a little bit easier on it until the fall, and it'll give me some beautiful color in the fall and be all flushed out again. Now this is in the shade, but it does get, it does get the morning sun, and it's just right on the edge. If I can show you here, it's right on the edge of the patio, so it does seems to get just enough bright light to make it quite happy. And then of course things that are in the deep shade are so happy. So this is my Kimberly Queen fern that loves it here, and I have another one on the other side. And I wanted to get a little closer. You can see that the Abelia has this really pretty little flower all summer long. So that is another little plus for this evergreen plant. Let's see what's happening in this container. So I have two of these to the left and right. I have pentas right here, and I have white dianthus, and I just have an ivy right here, and they are doing okay. They are struggling a bit because it is so hot, and this part of the garden gets direct sun. And there's been times when this has gone dry and I almost lost the pentas. So it's struggling to come back. That's why it doesn't look as fabulous as it should. So keep watering your containers. My friend has her dianthus in the ground, and it looks really good. So next year I'm going to get more dianthus and put that in the ground. Now this is an annual, so this doesn't come back every year. And so you can see there's the matching one on that side. That's a begonia, just a wax leaf begonia, and I have that here every year, and I take this pot inside in the winter. My ajuga ground cover is struggling. It's taking a hit. So here, where it's a little shadier, it's not shadier, but the plant is kind of shading it behind it. It is the nice chocolate chip green, but as you come a little closer into the more full sun, you can see it's getting a little tinged with yellow, and that's okay. It will pop back and look wonderful again when the temperatures get a little bit better. But right now, it's showing me signs of distress. It's too hot. And then this is my creeping phlox. This is an evergreen during the heat, and then in the spring, it's covered with those beautiful purple flowers. And I have a wonderful salvia. This is the Henry Dahlberg salvia, and the bees just love this thing. They're all over it right now. And there's a white one right behind it. So the salvias don't mind the heat at all. And then I have my Shasta daisies, and they are just about done putting out their beautiful flowers. They were so pretty in June and July. I have a few flowers left, and it's very important to keep coming in and deadheading these. And if there's any more flowers to produce, this is the way to get them. But it might be done for now. Now let's look at the coneflower. My coneflower is not happy right now. I cut it way back so that I can have a new flush of flowers in the fall. So that's why it looks so pitiful right now. It'll be fine in the fall though. See, there's some new growth down here. So don't worry, but no coneflowers to show you right now. And then there's another Henry Dahlberg salvia here. And then my gorgeous cherry laurel evergreen. And it's about 15 feet tall. I love it. Okay, let's look over on this side. Everything is repeated, same kind of things on the right side. Some more of the Shasta daisies and some yellowing ajuga. But this is my star. This is my Mystic Spires salvia. And I should have chopped it earlier in June or July, and I didn't. And so now I'm having to stake it. And it's okay. I guess, it was a lot of work to stake it up, but then you get this beautiful flowering all summer long. But if you look inside, I have a lot of stakes in there that were no fun to put in. So chop your salvias early in the summer so you don't have that problem. That when you chop them like that, it causes the base to be a lot thicker and stronger. This thing is about 4 feet tall and 4 feet wide. Isn't that gorgeous? And that greets everyone who comes to my front door. And look at this. The abelias on this side are really putting out a pretty show of white flowers. And then this abelia is new. How pretty. And then this abelia is dead. I had sudden death happen here, and I am going to pull this out for you right now on camera, and we are going to see what the heck happened. Okay, we're going to dig up this dead abelia and see what went wrong. So first thing I'm going to do is push back the mulch. I do not have mulch around the base. That, could have been a problem, but that wasn't it. And I want to make sure I don't hit the tubing. You do not want to hit your irrigation tubing. I'm just kind of scratching around, and it's super dry, so that's one hint. Very, very dry, which is very sad. I think that I killed it because of water. Okay, let's pull it up and see what went wrong. Well, it doesn't have nematodes, thank goodness. So if it had nematodes, there would be these big potato-like looking things. So apparently it just died from lack of water. I'm sorry, buddy, but I have to replace it. I'm going to put another one in and do a better job of watering. This does feel moist. It is moist in here, so it did get some water, but apparently not enough. And then here is my beautiful Lantana that's not looking very good. I may have to take this guy out. He's old and he just never looks very good every year as compared to this Lantana. Look at this. Now this is what your Lantanas should look like in the summertime. Isn't this pretty? I think this is called Kaleidoscope. I'll put the name up on the screen, or maybe it's Lemonade. Isn't that gorgeous? So I'm not real happy with that Lantana. That's just the plain yellow Texas native Lantana. Now this is new. This is a fall aster. So it's a really pretty evergreen and it looks nice here in the garden, but in the fall, this is going to put on its show. And here is my Mexican bush sage. This is also new. And in just 1 year, it's 3 feet tall and 3 feet wide. And it is starting to finally put on some flowers. So it should have them all over it. Right now, most of the plant is flowerless. So, but I understand that in the fall, I will get more flowers. And I have some May night salvia. There's one here and one here. And they are doing great. They stay low and they give you this little purple flower. And they're just a nice little addition. And then I have this Texas Sundrops. And they are not very prolific. I was expecting a lot more yellow flowers. They are new to me this year, so we'll see what they do in the fall. Maybe there's more happening in the fall, or maybe there's more happening next year. I have another one over there. So we'll see. But look at these gorgeous Abelia. They sure are putting on a beautiful show with these white flowers. So it's an evergreen shrub, but you also get these pretty flowers. And then I have another of the Mystic Spires on the very end here. And this one did not get staked up, and so it's kind of flattened out. I'm going to show you a picture of the inside of it. You see how it's kind of laying flat, but it's doing okay. It laid flat and then it kind of stuck the limbs back up. So I'm happy with it. It looks okay. And then I have a really pretty fern here, foxtail fern, and a gorgeous hibiscus that's been happy. Boy, I've had to water this hibiscus every single day, though. It just seems to get dry so quick. It's covered with blooms, and I get these gorgeous red flowers. So if you don't have a hibiscus, you should get one, and you put it in a great big pot like that. And this is full sun and afternoon shade. Now, some more things that love the sun and don't mind the hundreds are this bougainvillea. I have 2 of them over here. Aren't they beautiful? And they just really brighten up this side of the house. They're in pots, and I bring them in the wintertime. And a little trick that I have been doing, since the pots are not really big enough to keep them watered well enough, I put a saucer underneath it, and I let the saucer fill up with water every time I water them, and that water in the saucer dries up in a matter of hours when it's so hot, and it seems to really work well for the bougainvillea. Now you have to take that saucer away whenever the temperatures cool off a little bit, because then you will have root rot if you don't do that. But right now it's so hot that the dirt in this pot was getting like hard as rock, and it wasn't, every time I'd water it, the water would just kind of flow over the sides, and it wasn't really absorbing. So when you put a saucer underneath, you'll see that in about an hour that water completely disappears, and that will tell you that your plant wasn't absorbing the water well enough without the saucer. So I highly recommend a saucer when you have things in pots for a while it's super hot, just to make sure your plants are absorbing that water. I do the same thing for this beautiful rosemary here. It was not absorbing water well. You can tell that too by when you stick your finger in there way down and you think, gosh, I just watered you and you're still dry. That's because when things get so dry, they can't absorb the water well enough, and that's when you water from below with a saucer. And then I have some gorgeous climbing star jasmine. Isn't this pretty? And in the spring it's covered with white flowers and it smells fabulous. And it should do a better job of helping it get all entwined in this. But this hides the trash cans. On the other side, the trash cans live, and so it's a good thing to have some kind of climbing vine. Now this doesn't make it in some of our winters. 2 winters ago we had those really bad ice storms, and I thought I lost it, but it came back, so that's great. And then on this side I have 3 gorgeous cherry laurels, and for some reason this one is growing faster. It must have a better water situation, but they are my screening plants so you can't see into my backyard. And then this is my fun frog fruit. This is a ground cover. This is very invasive. Look at it, it's coming all the way out here to down the driveway, but it's okay because there's not any other garden around here. You would not want to plant this anywhere that you are concerned about other plants, because it will strangle all your other plants. But I love it in this situation. So the star of the show back here is the Thryallis. This is about 4 feet tall. Isn't that gorgeous? Just fills this small garden here, and there's another one on the other side, and then in the center is some more of the Henry Dahlberg Salvia. So the purples and the yellows really play well together. So the daylilies are opening up. They're so pretty. I just love them. I have some new ones, some new colors, but right now we just have orange, and I can't wait for the new ones to start being as prolific as these. And I only buy reblooming daylilies. So as the morning goes on, open more and more. Let me see, this one looks really good. And then they last for one day, hence the name Daylily. Aren't they pretty? All the way down the path. So if you don't have some rock rose, you really need to get some. Look at this. Isn't that pretty? And it spreads by seed on its own, and it's just absolutely gorgeous. And right behind that is a Turk's cap. This one has the pink flowers. And then right over here is catmint. This is new to me this year. It doesn't have any flowers this first year, but I can see a lot of little buds in there. So I'm anticipating some flowers maybe in the fall or next spring. And as we move along, I've got a really nice big fall aster that will be blooming soon. And I have a nice big stand of zinnias that came up on their own. Isn't that beautiful? Just such pretty color. And another rock rose. And a Mexican honeysuckle that is new, brand new. And so it's giving me a little bit of orange, but I thought I would get more from this Mexican honeysuckle. So I'm not sure why it's so small. And then I have some more zinnias and another fall aster. So this garden bed is looking really good. Let me get it from this point of view, and you can see how pretty it is to walk down this trail. And on the left side of the trail is another Thryallis. And this trail leads to the Pollinator garden, and that's where we'll head next. And then I have a grass here, and then we have Russian sage here. This Russian sage had a water issue, and it didn't get water for probably a month, and it lost all of its purple flowers, and that was my clue something was wrong. So now it's a gray Russian sage, but it will bloom up again now that the water issue is fixed. But you got to really pay attention and look at your plants all through this hot period of time to make sure things are getting enough water. That is the main issue. And as we go all the way back here, we can see the Pollinator garden needing to be watered regularly. This is Greg's Mist, and this is what the butterflies are after. They love these little purple flowers, and it might be just a little too early for them to be here right now, but I'll show you the butterflies in just a second. And then there's my beautiful Pride of Barbados. Here's a Turk's cap. Turk's cap is very happy. This is somewhat shady over here. These get about 3 to 4 feet tall. And then I have Turk's cap in another area that is about 5 feet tall. Just depends on how happy they are. Look at those gorgeous blooms. Aren't they pretty? Love Pride of Barbados. I highly recommend you have some of that. Back here in the shade, I have an American Beautyberry, and it's just starting to turn purple. I really wanted to show you all this. Look at this. Aren't those pretty? And that is just the start of the show. They just become more and more of this gorgeous pinky purple color. And then the birds will come in and enjoy a nice treat. Aren't those gorgeous though? So if you don't have an American Beautyberry, I highly recommend one. They take up a nice big amount of space, and they definitely like shade. So they are under some cedar trees back here. I wanted to make sure you know about Vinka. These are the best tough little flower for containers or for in-ground. They come in white, dark pink, light pink, all kinds of beautiful colors, and they are just super tough. And I have one in here, one here. This is full sun. They are an annual, so they don't overwinter, but they're cheap and they grow about a foot tall every year. So definitely put some Vinkas in your garden. Back here, right behind the house, are my drift roses. And these are doing great. They're putting on another beautiful display of flowers. So it's very important with drift roses to kind of clip off some of this dead, and then they'll keep on reblooming for you. And I am not doing a good job because I'm trying to hold the camera. But the more you clip, the more of these pretty pink flowers you get. These come in all kinds of pretty colors, whites and sherberts and pinks and reds. But I just love these drift roses. And then right behind the drift roses are my boxwood. And they are new. They're about 3 years old. And I want them to reach the level of the house there. Here's a pretty coleus in a pot. It's got several colors. Isn't that gorgeous? And I know a lot of people put these in the ground, and I haven't done that, but some people are very successful with them in the ground. And then I have plumbago. Everybody needs some plumbago. They are kind of late to bloom, but they have been blooming all of July and August. And they are in a little bit of shade and they get afternoon sun. So something, whatever their orientation is, they are happy. Here's another drift rose with red flowers. So I've been telling you about this Duranta or sky flower, and finally it is blooming. For some reason it was late to bloom this year, but look how pretty. It just has these grape colored flowers that trail down. Aren't they pretty? And I put a stake here, and I did stake it up, but it needs to be restaked. For some reason it's kind of fallen back down, but it's just gorgeous, and it would be a lot prettier staked back up. And there's 2 of them here. And my giant liriope is blooming. This stuff loves Central Texas. But you got to get some Duranta or skyflower. Just such a happy plant here. And it dies back to the ground in the wintertime, but it's just a really nice filler. If I get back, you can see that's a big section there. That's about a 10-foot long section by 4 feet wide, and it's a nice filler. And here comes a dog. And then there's a little bit of shade starting about right here, and so this fern is okay here. It gets a little bit burned because it gets just a little bit too much sun. This is a holly fern, and there's a sister holly fern on the other side. And here's Turk's cap. This one is about 6 feet tall. This has the pink flowers, and every year this grows this tall fairly early, starting in springtime. So it dies back every year, but it is just one of the best plants that you can have in your garden. Let me get closer so you can see how pretty those little Turk's caps are. Something is gnawing on it, some caterpillar, but I don't care. It doesn't really detract from the plant much. Isn't that a nice plant to have? And it's a nice separation. It makes kind of a wall between the front garden and the back garden. And then if I come along Over here, you can see I have this is the left garden where I have a raised bed, and I have another abelia that is just so happy, and another bird bath, and some daylilies over here, and I have a pot full of airplane plant. This stuff needs the shade, but it is tough, and it can take it, if you forget to water it, it doesn't mind. It won't die. But this is a wild abelia. I have not trimmed it. Usually I, trim them into balls, but I've just let this one do its own thing. And look what it's doing. It's just shooting its arms up straight in the air. And this is a really good place for this guy, because I don't care. I'm not ever going to trim it into a ball. It's going to stay wild back here. And my oak leaf hydrangea needs a little more shade, I think, but it's doing okay. It's trying to make it. It bloomed in the spring, and now it's just a really pretty green plant. And every year it gets more and more full. It's still kind of scraggly. This is year 2. I'm expecting it to get a little fuller next year. And then here are some things that I grew in milk jugs in the wintertime, and then I transferred them to this raised bed. And this is Gomphrena. Look how fun these little flowers are. And they love the hot, intense sun, and they definitely want water. But this is black-eyed Susans, and I'm going to get around here and show you this other really cool plant. Here is a basil plant that's going to seed. Look at this gorgeous thing, and I'm going to have so many more of these next year. This is blanket flower, or Indian blanket, and or gaillardia. So I am going to have so much more gaillardia next year. I love this stuff, and it's making all kinds of seeds for me. So if I take this, it's not quite ready, but when this turns brown and is much drier, I am going to definitely grow more of this. Is that not the prettiest thing? And it loves the heat and loves the sun. So along this fence, I have a passion vine, and this has got a white flower. There aren't any flowers on it right now, but this is the host plant for the Gulf fritillary butterfly, and I am bothering them right now, so they're kind of moved away, but they put out this little funky looking caterpillar here. So this is usually covered with these caterpillars. There's another one, and then we get these really pretty butterflies. Let me see if I can. Now, it's very hard to get butterflies on camera. They're very shy, but this will have a gorgeous white flower that looks like an alien flower, and I'll put a picture of what it looks like up on the screen. But anyway, I love to grow passion vine, and it's easy to grow. So definitely pick up some passion vine, and it can make a chain link fence look a lot prettier. Skullcap is a great way to fill a lot of garden area. I do have a pretty big yard, and I need fillers, and this area gets hardly any water at all. I do have drip here, but I try not to turn it on much because they just don't need it. And then I have yarrow here. Yarrow is not blooming right now, but if I get a little closer, if I were to kind of do a good job, a better job of deadheading, then these yarrow will give me a nice flush of blooms again in the fall. So carry your scissors with you whenever you're out checking your yard, and keep on deadheading. That is the secret. But I have yarrow all over here. Yarrow does not like much water, so it's a really good plant for us. and I like that really pretty silvery gray look. I was going to show you the back of the property. We planted 7 of the red tip photinias, and they are growing beautifully, and they are screening the property behind us. They're building new houses behind us. So this is a good solution when you are trying to screen something ugly. And I do understand that these are not doing well in Austin, Texas. They do have a virus that's wiping them out. The virus hasn't come to this part of Texas yet, so I'm hoping that they'll be okay. But if I start noticing anything, there are some different herbicides that you can spray to try to save your photinias, but that's for another video. Thank you so much for watching today, and I hope you see that even when it's 100 degrees, we can have beautiful plants here in Central Texas. You just have to keep on top of that watering. I use the drip irrigation system, and on the grass we use sprinkler. And so with some water, full sun, some of these plants like shade, then you can have a beautiful garden. So thank you so much. I hope I inspired you to put in some beautiful plants, and I'll see you again in the next video. Bye-bye.